Hi, I'm Don Mooers, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. The League of Women Voters of Maryland has a very busy year ahead, including elections and a legislative session coming up in the 2016 calendar year. Nancy Soreng, the new co-president of the State League, is here to bring us up to date. The State Board of Education, an organization not many of us think about, but has a big impact on us, is going to need to find a new superintendent as the present leader just resigned. Shirley Brandman, who comments on this program, or for this program on a regular basis, is here to explain the board's responsibilities and what's likely to happen next. A recent report on poverty includes information about Montgomery County. Shane Rock, executive director of Interfaith Works, has the details about what this new poverty report means for the poor in our community. Manna Food has a new program to obtain food from caterers, restaurants, and grocery stores for people throughout our community who don't have enough to eat. Jackie DeCarlo, executive director of Manna Food, has the news and will also give us details about the programs, other programs, of this very critically important nonprofit in our community. Nancy Soreng, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be
Seems
here.
like it's been forever.
It's been a while.
And a lot of issues coming up. We've got the legislative session
Right.
just around the corner. I know you're prepping up. We've got elections
Right,
coming up.
right.
We've got new voting processes. Let's start with that because you
Sure.
and I have had discussions years ago about electronic voting versus paper trail.
Right.
I know you
So-
didn't think about a paper trail being important in the past. Electronic voting. It seems like they're instituting something with electronic, but also that provides a paper trail.
That's because the electronic voting is something that is convenient for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
If you're blind or if you can't fill in a bubble on a little piece of paper, so they had to come up with a system that everybody could use.
Okay.
And also for early voting, where people can come in from any part of the county and vote, they have to be able to generate multiple ballot styles. So an electronic machine can do that as well.
Okay, so are you looking forward as the state league? You've looked at this, I'm sure.
Well,
this new
The State Board of Elections
machine.
had actually put in an application for a contract to hire a company to develop professional training materials that then they were going to share with the local leagues and other people around the state so we could do training with the public. So when
Right.
they got that election day, they would know, because the system's quite different than
Right.
anything anybody in Maryland has ever used. The State Board rejected that, or the Board of Public Works rejected that contract, so I'm not sure quite where we are as far as coming up with training materials, but I do assure you that before the election there will be a big push to get people to understand that things are going to be different, and the more they know about how to vote on the system, the easier things will go on election day.
These machines are different than even the last time that we voted?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and multiple machines.
Yeah, so you'll most voters on election day will vote on a paper ballot that they'll fill in the bubbles and then they'll put it into a scanner that will read it.
Okay.
But during early voting, or people who don't have the
Do that.
capability, will vote on a touchscreen machine, and then it will print out a paper ballot that then they will have to feed in.
And we had someone from the
And it's
State
a
Board
very
of Elections.
different touchscreen.
Dr. Zelaya came from
Right.
the County Board of Elections and talked about how with this reader we'll find out that if we haven't done it correctly, it will reject it back, and then we'll be able to do it again or make corrections.
Well,
So-
if you overvoted,
Right.
or undervoted.
Or-
Anyway, yeah,
yeah.
it'll
All right.
let you know. Okay.
Let's go from that
All right.
to the substantive issues coming up with the upcoming
Okay, well,
Annapolis session.
You will remember that last year I talked about one of our top priorities was redistricting reform. And the one good thing that has happened is that the governor did appoint a commission that's holding hearings around the state on how the system can be reformed. They are to produce and approve a report by November 5th
Okay.
that we're hoping will come up with legislation that will create an independent, transparent redistricting commission, and then we'll see if we have any luck getting that legislation through the General Assembly.
States that have something like that now, California
California, Arizona,
Okay.
Washington State, and then some other states have different forms. So we'll see what
And the
evolves
idea
from
behind
that.
this is because of this the horrendous map you've talked about,
Right,
that this starburst of where
Right,
Senator, where Congressman
it's
Sarbanes
the
is
results of the maps, and it's also just the fact that they are drawn by people that have a vested interest in how they're drawn. We want them to be drawn by people that care about the best representation for voters.
So is the league pushing to have this in place by the 2018 election, or is
We
the,
would love
that's
to.
the
Oh no,
goal.
it won't be in place by
It won't be.
2018. We need to have it in place before the next census,
for the next census?
because
Okay.
that's when they'll do redistricting again. And last year, several million people got put into new districts when the census results said that much didn't have to be. The other big thing we're
we have
working
only 2
on.
minutes, so let's keep going through these.
Greenhouse Gas Reduction Act is
Okay.
due for renewal in 2016. It's the blueprint by which Maryland has been working on programs to
Right.
limit global warming. We've got to renew that. So we'll be working on that.
And global warming is not important just for the gases going up in the air. It also has a huge
This-
role to play in the Chesapeake Bay, right?
Well, and also the same things that cause climate change also impact our health. They cause asthma. They cause other problems. So yeah, and they impact the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay. What else are you all? What about
Open
poverty
government.
issues,
Yep.
government, good government, bad government? What are we looking at?
Right. Open government is something else we've been working on. The Public Information Act, open meetings laws, trying to make sure that people can pay attention to what's going on among their elected officials.
So, and do you focus your advocacy primarily on the Montgomery County delegation, or are you working
Oh no,
with
the whole
okay,
state.
whole state?
Because I'm with the
Right.
state league, so we work with all the delegations around the state, and the other
And the
leagues
locals,
help us.
the locals send their priorities up to you to have coordinated advocacy?
That's exactly how it works. They let us know what they want us to work on, and then we do it.
Do you think there's any movement or any interest in the state in moving to something like the Washington state system for voting, where everyone votes by mail and it's really dramatically increased participation in votes?
There is some interest, and in fact, right now in Maryland, you can vote by mail without an excuse, but we still have polling place voting. One thing that people don't realize in both Maryland or Washington State and State of Oregon, they check signatures on absentee ballot applications. We don't have that in place here, so until we can figure out how to do that. That's a little problematic to just be sending people ballots. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I saw recently some polling places have been closed.
They're
got
changing the
10
early voting
seconds.
places.
Okay.
Yeah, some of those will be closed and they'll be moved. 2 of them they're moving to different locations.
And we're not happy about that, are we?
No, we're not. Hopefully, my letter to the Post will be printed. We'll see.
Read Nancy Soreng's letter to the Post and then follow it up. Thanks, Nancy
Thank
Soreng.
you.
I can't wait to have you back, hopefully sooner rather than later. Shirley Brandman,
Hi, Don.
welcome back.
Thank you.
So, the State Superintendent of
Yes.
Education, everything in Montgomery County, it seems that we're focused primarily on the federal government and the county government. And while we know we have a governor and we have these state legislators, and Annapolis is out there, and then Baltimore's where the state superintendent is, we really don't think about that much when it comes to education. But
There's a close connection.
the state superintendent
Yes.
plays a big role, doesn't the State Board of Election, or State Boards of
Education, absolutely. So Lillian Lowery, Dr. Lillian Lowery, who was our state superintendent, announced her resignation at the end of August. She left on September 11th. We have an interim superintendent, Jack Smith, who had been a superintendent in Calvert County. He has been serving as a deputy, and I have no doubt that there's going to be an able and seamless transition, but our State Board of Education is looking now to hire a new state superintendent. And the reason that it matters is because the state board and the state superintendent really are setting educational policy for the state of Maryland. So we have 24 local education districts, but we follow policies and we live by decisions they make. So for example, the state board and the state superintendent made the decision that Maryland was going to be one of the states moving to the park assessments, which has changed how we do
park
assessment.
assessments are what?
Park assessments are the new tests that we use to determine mastery of our students from the early middle school years all the way through high school, to know have our students learned what we expect them to learn
So since-
throughout the old Maryland
Since
state
they
assessments.
determine assessments, do they also determine the curriculum that feeds into those assessments?
They provide supporting documentation. They give templates. They leave some room for local jurisdiction. There's the local boards who are making the very local decisions, but within parameters. And the park standards follow the Common Core, so you really had a skeletal framework that Maryland signed on to, that many other states signed on to, that were looking to raise the level so that students would have more exposure in critical thinking and communication skills. So moving us in that direction, but needing to change up the assessments to go with it. One impact that we've seen locally is that they've also changed the kindergarten readiness assessment. So this is a tool not to keep kids out of kindergarten. Everyone goes to kindergarten.
Thank
but when
goodness.
you, exactly.
That's when we learn, 90% of what we learn in life is in kindergarten, right?
Very critical lessons for
Right.
sure. But when you come in the door, in terms of teachers having information about which students are really ready to move on
Right.
and which students need support, they have recently changed, the state board and the state superintendent, our kindergarten readiness assessment. They've upped the bar.
So if the state board hires the superintendent,
Yes.
they have a really important job, how
They
do you
do.
get onto the state board?
That is a great question. You are appointed by the governor. So there are 12 members of the state board. The governor appoints them. Governor Hogan has already appointed 2 new members of the state board, and there are about 3 more vacancies coming up in the 2016 year. So that is a very critical way in which the governor has an impact. And interestingly,
And
in
is
the
that
state of
subject to
Maryland,
legislative approval?
no, this is
Oh,
the
interesting.
governor's making that appointment. And
Any representation from Montgomery County?
currently, actually, Larry Giamo sits on the state board,
Larry
but you're
Giamo
not
is
there.
who?
Larry Giamo is a former mayor of Rockville. You may know more about his career in Montgomery County than I do, but you know, there's not actually a requirement that there be any kind of geographic distribution. So there's not a seat for Montgomery County. We recently had Luisa Montero Diaz had sat on the state board. She was from Montgomery County. She has recently stepped down at the completion of her term. But there's not a guarantee that Montgomery County would be represented in some way. So, and it is important to think about the fact that the state board really does look at pre-K through high school. They really are setting broad educational policy. One thing that I know locally we have recently been dealing with is that the state board really led an effort to rethink our discipline policies and really try to help the state of Maryland get ahead of the fact that we often have an overrepresentation of minority students who are suspended and expelled, and really challenging systems to look at how we do our discipline policies and what impact it has on instruction and instructional time. So they really can be important leaders. The issues that they take up will have an impact. And they've been driving assessments, teacher evaluation, these readiness standards, the whole move towards college and career
All right,
ready.
so if someone wants to make an impact or wants to try to influence the county board of education, and you were a key
Sir,
member
yes.
and great leader.
Thank you.
Sorely missed. They could show up to meetings.
Absolutely.
And testify.
Same with the state board.
Okay, so what
The state board meets in Baltimore. They do have also opportunity for public comment. They meet on a monthly basis, and you can sign up for times in advance.
Okay.
You similarly can send them emails and letters to the president of the state board, just like at the local level, get distributed to the entire state board. And they do take public comment opportunities, so people can. And they have, when they've taken on issues, so for example, we talked about the discipline, they will then maybe go around and do focus groups around the state.
Okay.
They also do try to collect information. I will say, as a local board member, we thought maybe they should even try harder to get feedback from the local boards, because you know, in Maryland, because we only have 24 local education agencies, you really have the ability to engage in some real conversation.
Sure, and you have, and in some of the smaller counties, what, like 10, 15 of the counties combined pupil population doesn't
Smaller
even come
than-
close to Montgomery County or Prince George's or Baltimore.
Absolutely right, and
Yeah.
yet they sometimes have very unique challenges that
Right.
they need to still deal with. So the fact that we are looking for a state superintendent
Okay.
matters to us, and we should all pay attention.
I know, I don't know about you all, but I believe we have found who should be the state superintendent
I'll
of
pass, but
education.
thank you for the vote.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. Shane Rock, welcome back.
Great to be here.
It's always great when Interfaith Works is here. You're able to do this great, congratulations on your continued leadership
Thank you.
and direction. So what are we here talking about today?
Well, 2 things. First, I want to really thank the community, the congregations, the businesses, just people bringing backpacks to Interfaith Works and school supplies. This year, we set a new record. We helped 2,500 children be prepared for school. It was amazing to see the line of kids on the first day of the distribution stretching more than a city block
Wow.
to get their to pick out their backpack.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And favorite Batman, Superman?
It was, I think it was a dolphin or a shark or something, but yeah, very interesting backpack. The other thing, the big thing I want to talk about is last week the Census Bureau released their annual estimate of poverty rates in the United States. And the headlines there were nationally, poverty was pretty much flat. around 17%, 16-17%. In Montgomery County, there was a slight uptick from 6.9% to 7%, and that's a continuation of a trend that's been going on for multiple years while we've been recovering from the Great Recession.
Right.
Very interesting, because the unemployment rate in Montgomery County is about 4%.
So what do you attest it? Is it the continuing influx of immigrants coming up to join families? Is it the rich are getting richer, poor getting poorer? What's your sense of what's going on?
I think it's all of that. I think what we're seeing is Montgomery County is a very expensive place to live.
Sure, we all know that.
The federal poverty line, about $23,500 for a family of 4 per year,
Okay.
is a federal. That's a federal standard.
Which is not very realistic.
It's not very
You're
realistic.
in poverty if you're making a lot more money than that.
Right. So what
Is that what the census is reporting at the federal level?
The census is reporting the federal level, and so what we're seeing really is wage stagnation. We're seeing a lot of people who are the working poor who are literally earning poverty wages.
Right.
And many of them are living in the county in substandard housing. They're living doubled up. This is affecting our entire quality of life in the county. It's not only affecting the people who are living in the county who are poor, but it's driving people who are living, who are serving us in restaurants and other places out of the county.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at this thing. We've got a website. People want to learn more about Interfaith Works and all the great work you do. What's that website?
IWORKSMC, iworksmc.org.
Perfect. I think.
So
one
you said that the poverty rate was going up just a little bit. Are poor people living in the same areas of the county as they were previously?
Yeah, if you look at the county, it's in the shape of a J, from Germantown to Silver Spring, and then curling up to Briggs Cheney. And it's a wide swath through those areas. So Germantown, Gaithersburg, parts of Rockville, Wheaton, Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, and up to Briggs Cheney.
And you see a lot of these numbers in our school system, right? Because you look at the students who are eligible for free and reduced meals, the numbers in the school system have been going up. And actually, if you analyze it, it's the number of students who are eligible for completely free meals has increased dramatically recently. And that is a measure of the level of the intensity of the need.
Right, and that really, it's reflected in the census statistics too, in the fact that more than 2/3 of the people in poverty in Montgomery County live in families. These are not individuals struggling, these are families.
But are there other demographics, like particularly vulnerable seniors, that we would see nationally?
Yes, I mean seniors make up about 10%, about 1 in every 10 in Montgomery County people are seniors. They generally have reasonable supports in place for around housing, those sorts of things. A lot of the families really don't. And so we're focusing as an organization much more on the families, trying to break the cycle of poverty, trying to keep in mind that what we can do to remove obstacles to employment and to career advancement will help families and help the children in those families be successful.
Other programs, what's going on right now with other things going on? You're highlighting the poverty.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing really, we're trying to shift.
About 45 seconds left.
45 seconds. 2 things. We're really focusing on trying to shift to a model where we provide a case manager, someone who works one-on-one with families.
Across a broad spectrum.
Across a broad spectrum. We're taking a holistic approach. Rather than helping the children or helping the parents, we're helping the whole family.
Oh, that's a
We want to
great
move
idea.
them all forward. It is a model that's proven successful. Second thing is we do a celebration of, in a sense, all the people who don't have enough in the community through our Empty Bowls event, which is on October 22nd. We invite the community to be there. It's a very low-cost event that's symbolic, where you get a bowl of soup and you learn about the work that's being done in the community by Manna and other organizations to end poverty.
We'll be there.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Shane, good luck. I'll be there as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time and come back soon.
I will.
All right. Jackie, welcome.
Thank you.
I believe this is your first time on the show.
It is. I'm very excited.
Certainly not the first time for Manna Foods, but one of the most well-known organizations fighting poverty in our community. Maybe if you could start off telling us a little bit about Manna Food Center, and then a little bit about the new initiative.
Well, for over 3 decades, the community has really made Manna's work possible as we're trying to get food to those who are struggling to deal with the cost of living and also who have unique vulnerabilities. We've been rescuing food for all those years. We actually were started by Giant Food and the government of Montgomery County and faith-based groups. But we need to do it in new ways. And what folks don't realize about our prosperous community is that we waste a lot of food. Almost 250,000 tons of food is wasted in this county, while as many as 80,000 folks are food insecure.
Yeah, I saw a study that half of the food in America is
Thrown away.
Thrown away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that the whole global community is wrestling with. But luckily, as usual, Montgomery County is a hotbed of innovation, and we have been able to invest in a new initiative called Community Food Rescue. It's a network of organizations like Interfaith Works, like Shepherd's Table, but also food donors like Whole Foods Market, Chef Tony's Restaurant, and we're matching those organizations through technology.
Website, I believe there's a website where people can learn more about it.
Yes, definitely go to communityfoodrescue.org so you can learn about the extent of the problem, but also this very unique solution.
So once you get these food donations from these food producers or distributors, how do you get it out to the people that need it?
Well, if we use the technology, it's kind of like the Uber of food recovery, where a donor will say, I have this much food. It is matched with a recipient organization who has the ability to use that food in a soup kitchen or in a day program. And if they don't have staff to pick it up, then we mobilize volunteers who have been trained in safe food handling and who know about the fact that they have neighbors in need, and we match them and they get a text or an email. And in November, it'll all be mobile, just like Uber.
So, and have you targeted particular communities to try to recruit markets or restaurants because the need locally is tremendous?
Well, we have divided the county by quadrants because we want to make smart matches. We don't want to have a restaurant in Olney be helping out somebody necessarily in Bethesda. We want to match that. So we are looking at it from a geographic standpoint. So we were talking earlier about climate. We don't want to create climate change by our footprint.
Driving the food,
Right. And connected to that, are you also working with community gardens? I know I've got more tomatoes than I can ever use.
Yeah, well, we certainly have a lot of master gardeners, farmers who are able, as long as you're a licensed food business, then you can go be part of our database and we will match you with that. And we can schedule pickups on a regular basis, like I harvest every Monday. Or it could be just in time after a bar mitzvah or a wedding when there's food left over.
You know, Shane brings up a good point in terms of the food, in terms of he's got so many tomatoes and garden. Are we doing anything, and this is out of left field here, I was an ag extension agent in community gardens way back when. Are we doing anything to help encourage poor in our community who are in houses or apartments to be able to empower them to grow their own food as well?
Definitely. I mean, there was a unique program that we did this summer. Master gardeners helped, but also a local youth group did container gardeners, container gardens, sorry, and they created them and then gave it to recipients of Manna Food Center. So it was a way to teach about your own gardening skills, but also to bring different community groups together.
I want to learn more about that. Count me in.
Okay.
And are the schools partnering with you? Because we talk so often about school lunches and school food that may get wasted.
Well, we certainly continue our weekend bag program. It's called Smart Sacks, and there we are committed to a healthy menu that meets USDA guidelines. So we don't rely as much on donations because that's a little bit haphazard, but we do have excellent organizations who have committed donations from our essential meal list. We're in 60 schools now.
So you're donating to schools, but are schools donating to you?
Oh, well, yes.
Good
Montgomery
point.
County Public Schools has also been at the forefront of making sure that any surplus they have, whether it be in the summer meals programs or ongoing, that they are part of our system. Yeah.
Cool.
It's gone by so fast. We've got maybe 30 seconds left.
Well,
Give us some more
I
information.
would love people to get involved. We need volunteer food runners, so if you go to communityfoodrescue.org, you can sign up to be a community food runner. You can also go out to your local favorite restaurant or choose a caterer for your next family event and say, I want to make sure this food is rescued, it doesn't go to waste. So help spread the word. And of course, if you're an agency that we don't typically work with, we want to know, because there are a lot of faith-based groups that have their own pantries. We'd like to help them get food. CommunityFoodRescue.org.
Are we making a dent?
Oh, definitely. Our goal is 20% increased food rescue this year.
Jackie, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
And I want to thank all of you. This has been a great conversation, great discussion. And thank you for joining me. And thank all of you in the viewing audience for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Mooers, hoping that you'll join us next week at this very same time.